Welcome back to another class, right from where we left off from the last one. So today we'll be talking about input functions. Input functions. Now the input function it's actually used to get a response from a user. Say you want to ask the user a question and you want to print out whatever the user says. You have to make use of the input function, and Python recognizes that as input. Input. So we're going to make use of this in a code, something we've done before, and let's see what it does. All right, so let's say age input. How old are you? There we have this, and the next thing we say print age. Let's run this. How old are you? Say 65. So you see that unlike the initial code we write where we could very well just say age equals 65, print age. Now, whatever we're printing out is subject to the input of the user. And we could also check for the data type, age. How old are you? 65. And then it calls it a string. Now let me explain. Possibly you must have been expecting it to be an integer, since definitely that's what I imputed. I didn't had a single or a double quotes, whichever the case might be, as my input. So why is it giving me a string? Now, your input function converts whatever that comes in to be a string to enable Python print it out more comfortably. I repeat, your input function, it takes in the response of the user and converts it into a string automatically by default, meaning when your user brings in a response by default, whether the user is passing in an integer or a float, Python recognizes it as a string. Let me pass in a float. How old are you? I say 0.5. And you see, it prints out 0.5 and it tells me the class is still a string. But I want it to be an integer. So to do that, I make use of the syntax for integers, which is int. Remember, in our last videos, one of our last videos, we talked about those reserved keywords for Python where int stands for integer. So to do that, I either say age equals age. What this does is that, okay, I've gotten the first input for age, which is a string. Now I'm converting it to an integer and storing it back in age. Remember, we talked about reassigning variables to new data types. Okay, now if I run this, I should get a string. I should get an integer. I mean to say, I should get an integer when I put in a value. So now you see int, an integer, because I converted to an integer over here. So let me run one more time and then I do this. Now, can you see this now? Originally, when I said 0.5, I didn't flag an error, but rather it gave me the class as a string. But now I say 0.5, it flags an error for value error. Take notes of the errors that we've actually dealt with. We've dealt with name error, whereby a particular variable is not defined, and now we're talking about value error. Value error, now it's saying invalid literal for integer with base 10 0.5, meaning to say it checks the value that you actually convert into an integer. Okay, you've converted into an integer, but I want to verify if really it's an integer. So Python checks, no, it's not an integer, rather it's a float. So it's an invalid literal. And then it flags an error. But what if we do this? If I say float age, and then I say 0, and then I say 0.5, you see class float. So there, that's how you work with the input function. As we go further, we get to improve the complexity of our codes, and then we get to talk more about what they do and how we arrive at them. So yeah, thank you. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button and watch out for more videos.